That's very true. So if you guys do have to shit, don't lock your knees because
That's the best thing anyone's ever going to take from the show.
Honestly,
It really is. I've been getting emails about squirting lately. I don't know what happened.
Wait, what type of squirting are we talking about?
Be rich, be less fat, be ripped, be on steroids. If you think something I have or something someone else has would make your life better or easier, go and earn it or go get it. Race to 0 followers, hashtag race to 0.
Go back to the thing, go back to his picture, hit the picture, hit the tag. Who did he tag in that picture? Bert Christ. Oh, wait.
That's funny.
Oh, it's a bunch of people. I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just tagged me.
Oh, yeah,
And then I
that's
signed up to go do steroids. Yeah.
I signed up to go do steroids. Because what's the difference between the young and the old? The young, they kept moving. They keep moving.
it made me grow so much. And then also, so it was Mark, and then at that time, Charlie Zamora, who was a fucking psychopath because he would just like, we need this done now. Like, dude, dog, like I just like I got here, and he's like, no, either you do it or we're gonna find somebody else that does it. And I love him for it because without that, I wouldn't be who I am.
But you also have to factor in that you may be doing a job that you don't want to do. What's the price of that?
How I got here is also like there was some luck involved, but it was the same thing like Andrew. Like there was luck and there was also putting myself like out there.
He's like, you should put like your signature on there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it will say SlingShot on there, but you should like just throw your name on there. He's like, you know, like the commissioner of the NFL, he just like signs it on there.
Yeah.
And then that way it's like Mark Bell SlingShot.
I feel like shedding a tear, guys. I'm so happy that we're here.
That was a good one.
Power Project family, how's it going? Now, we partnered with an amazing brand, Bubs Naturals. We actually have some of the products on the table. Their MCT oil powder, their collagen protein, and this
Yeah.
their apple cider vinegar gummies. Okay. One thing I want to let you guys know real quick is that the Bubs products, number one, they mix super well. So I've had different MCT oils and I've talked to people who've used MCT oil and mentioned to the copy, and it doesn't mix well. Well, their MCT oil is amazing on coffee in the morning just on its own, but their collagen protein, and collagen is great for joint health, hair, skin, nails, all that stuff, that also mixes just so well into coffee and everything. That's one of the crazy things. But secondly, these freaking apple cider vinegar gummies, I don't ever supplement apple cider vinegar, but they put them in gummies, which is great. 2 per serving. We have literally eaten one of these full things. Andrew and I have split this. And Mark has to be so careful. Like, we give him 2 and we take it away because it tastes so good, but it's actually really good for you. So Andrew, tell them how to get it.
Yes, guys, seriously, have just the recommended dosage. Just have 2 of those gummies. Don't have 2 full bottles the way we do. Head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. And what's really cool about Bubs Naturals is they actually donate 10% of all their profits to various charities, starting with the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation. Again, bubsnaturals.com, promo code PowerProject to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
My shirt's actually green.
Oh, okay.
That is a gray shirt.
It's actually mint.
Turquoise, I'd call it.
That's a gray shirt and your pants are blue.
All men just don't see color.
Those pants are legit blue, by the way. There's no way they're not blue.
They're gray.
You guys can all...
Nah, they're gray. They're heather gray. They're not heather gray, but they're like light gray. They're not
Are
blue.
they made that type for everybody? Is that just your look?
Will I look the same if I buy those?
Can you see my foot?
can't even
That's what
finish
people ask a lot. They're like, "What's Nsima
There it is,
wearing?
right
What's
there.
he-" I'm like, it's not gonna matter if you try to dress like Nsima. It just ain't gonna work. Oh, stretchy pants.
That hip.
I feel like I'm at the Mobility Watch seminar for back in the day when Stret was wearing those tight pants and stretching all over the place.
Man, stress is great because he just like goes into different positions on people and shit. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, wait, what?
He moves pretty crazy.
He does.
He moves like Jim Carrey,
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
He's great at that.
contortionist.
Uh-huh. It's very impressive. Andrew,
I'm looking for it.
you were mentioning some interesting stuff about Moana.
Oh, you want to go there?
Yeah, I want to
This
go
early?
there. Yeah, I want to go there early. I think that's.
I don't even know. I mean, I know what you were talking about. I'm trying to remember how I came across. Oh, okay. So I'm okay. Full disclosure or whatever you want to say. I'm an idiot. I don't know anything outside of West Sacramento to Elk Grove in Sacramento. That's like as far as my like what's it called, geography
That's not
goes.
necessarily true, because you gave me great advice that I still use, and
Well,
I use it almost every day.
Okay.
When I have to take a shit, if I have to run, I keep the knees bent. So you know about keeping the knees bent when you have to take a shit, so that you don't shit yourself.
That is very true. So if you guys do have to shit, don't lock your knees, because
That's the best thing anyone's ever going to take from this show.
Honestly,
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, it's been really helpful, not just to me, but to those around me as well.
You're just running like this.
Yeah. You got to have a soft knee.
soft knees.
Kind of an athletic knee,
But
you know?
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I do have like tight hammies, but like if I lock those out, it like pulls on more than just like, it's not just like I'm trying to keep the water cup from spilling over. It's not that. It's more like it pulls on something and you get locked
See,
up.
like
and
if
you're tight.
you know, kind of squeeze that butthole, right, and you tighten up the butt cheeks, like that is the best way to like really vice everything in there and keep it secure. But you can't run this way; it's too stiff, and you're gonna heel strike, and then the heel strike is gonna go upward, and when that energy goes upward, something's gonna come splatting out of there.
So the clenching
Your luck's gonna run out.
clenching the butt cheek is just trying to put like a cap over the valve. Okay, like sure it's gonna work, but you're gonna get spillage, so you got to turn that valve off. So that's what staying loose and just holding it in.
Especially if you're a squirter.
Don't
Exactly.
squeeze the butt cheeks. I've been getting emails about squirting lately. I don't know what happened.
Wait, what type of squirting are we talking about?
It's like I don't know, it's something about a squirting school, but obviously I didn't click on it. It's like everyone can squirt. And I'm like, what the fuck is
Yo,
this?
Like your subscription.
Dog, that's just like a test from the FBI. They're like, let's set in this shit, see if he opens
I thought it was from my wife.
I hope not.
Like
She's
who
testing
signed me
me.
up for this newsletter? And it's like, hey, yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about Moana.
So what I was saying is like geographically, I don't know where shit is, and I don't understand why things are the way they are. But so my son's been watching Moana. He likes, again, any female character or female in real life that has dark hair and kind of thick. So he's been watching Moana nonstop, and I'm like, oh, that's probably why.
You just glazed over that. He likes dark-haired, thick females. How old's your
He's
boy?
one and a half.
He already has his taste. Good man. Keep on.
We were at Black Bear, and like the server was like some blonde or whatever, and he was all pissed off and grumpy. But the time before that, I don't know what she was like, because she looked like she was like mixed or something, but she had black hair.
Yeah.
And like dark skin, and she like had like real pretty eyes. So she was a mix of something, and he was just like, hey, like the whole time smiling at her. But this other time was like, nope, I don't want anything to do with you. Bring back the other chick.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Okay, so I'm like, okay, she sounds like Moana. She just sounds like regular. And then like as far as like an American accent, I'll say. The other characters, some are pretty hard, like almost sound like Hawaiian or whatever. Or I believe the proper term, again, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, is Polynesian.
Yeah.
But her dad has like a bit of a British accent. And I couldn't figure out like why is that? So I looked it up and I can't.
Colonizers.
Yeah, and I couldn't. Again, I don't know shit about anything, but the reason why we bring this up, because Nsima was talking about something else, which he'll go and this will all make a lot of sense. But when I was trying to figure this out, people were very, very upset at Lilo and Stitch because of the way like they drew their noses. And then so as
that means family.
whoa, that was good.
Yeah.
And then so like as I'm looking at this Moana shit, people are upset at the same thing because the Rock's character Maui, has a big, wide nose also.
So does the Rock.
Well, again, so Polynesian, whatever you want to call it, but like you were talking about the new what's it called? Little Mermaid. So people are mad at that now too.
Yeah, dog. It's interesting that they were getting mad at the noses. That's something I've never heard before.
I wonder who's getting mad.
It's honestly
It's probably just random white people that have nothing better to do, right?
yeah.
That's who started Latinx.
Like, we got to make this fair.
It's probably a white girl on TikTok. They like to
Right.
get mad about shit. That doesn't matter. Number one,
Black people are probably like, I didn't even know. I never even thought about it. I never even thought about the fucking mermaid.
or Polynesian people probably never thought about like the nose thing, because guess what? They have different types of noses. Like culturally, each culture has a different type of look. My nose is pretty fucking big. There's a whole thing back in the day with like people making fun of black people because they have bigger noses, but genetically and culturally, you will notice wider noses with bigger nostrils on black people. It's it's a feature.
Remember we had the oxygen advantage guy, and he's like, I'm white and my nose is really tiny. He's like, I can't breathe for shit for nasal breathing.
I remember that shit. That shit was that was funny. But
he gave props to Nsima for his nose.
hey, as long as the only time it could get bad is if you're just like, haha, those black people and their big noses. See, we have a problem if you go down that road.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, good. You should. If you do that, there's a problem. But if you just assess, you're like, oh yeah, bigger nose, big butt too. Seems to be a trait. But yeah, I was kind of laughing because the Little Mermaid has been in the cartoon, the Disney cartoon. She was a redhead girl. She's a white redhead girl. And when they recasted Ariel as a black actress, there's two sides. There's one side that is pissed because they're like, they recast Ariel as black. She was originally white. And the other side is like, well, she's a mermaid. Mermaids don't necessarily have culture, right?
It's like Santa Claus isn't real. We're just going to make him white.
Right.
We don't know what Jesus looked like. We're just going to make him white. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. We got it. We're just going to make everybody white.
The Jesus thing is funny because that guy was dark.
I know. They showed it. They had Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura were talking about it, and they brought it up on the show. Did you see that?
I saw that.
Dude, we got to see if we can find that clip. It was hilarious. You're just like, oh my God.
That was funny. But okay. But there's another side. I saw this video on TikTok from like a redhead creator, and he was like, she was like talking about how, well, as far as all the Disney princesses are concerned, she was the only redhead we had. You know what I mean? Mm. And the redhead kids, gingers. I don't know if we can call them that though, but gingers. They related to Ariel, and now she was taken away. But this is the thing. I think like. Disney just did a reskin, bro. That's the thing. They really just did a reskin because the only black Disney movie that we really have is Princess and the Frog, and Tiana was 90%. She was a frog for 90% of the movie. The movie was shit. She was a frog for 90% of the movie, and she was a person for like 10%.
So my daughter was really, really upset because I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So they put it on the other day, and I'm just like, oh, this seems pretty dope. But we didn't watch the whole thing, but I did not think about the fact that she was a frog for 90% of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the cartoon movies are really fucking good and super emotional.
Yeah.
I found myself weeping more than once, especially like Shrek and shit like that.
Never seen it, but yeah.
Oh, Shrek's good.
I've
never seen
Fiona's red. You don't know Fiona.
Well, I know she's the Cameron Diaz, right?
Yeah. She came.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Toy Story 3?
I don't think I have seen Toy Story 3. I don't know.
My son doesn't like going past 2 for some reason.
God, guys. Well, for all the listeners, if you remember seeing,
Toy Story's epic.
It is. You have to see Toy Story 3 if you haven't. But for all the people listening, if you've watched Toy Story 3, if you'll remember the scene with the lava. Now, I won't I won't spoil it for either of you guys.
That wasn't the 4th one?
Was it? Wait, do you remember a scene with lava in the 4th?
When they're all holding hands and they're just like, hey, this is it?
Wait, how many Toy Stories were there?
18. I don't know. There's at least 4.
Okay, if there were 4, then it was 3.
Okay.
Because I remember the 4th one is when he goes out and he's with this totally different toy.
Is it Forky, right?
Forky.
Yeah, that's 3.
That's Forky's 4.
God damn it. Hold
Forky's
on.
4, bro.
People are so pissed off at us right now.
Yeah. People are mad.
But, okay, the Toy Story thing. Let's rewind real quick to the reskin of Ariel to black.
There's 4.
Yeah,
Toy
so
Stories.
it was 3. Lava Pit was 3 because I remember that. Now, yeah.
Was it a lava
lazy.
pit or what? Yeah. That's when they're holding. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's when they're holding hands and they all think they're gonna die, right?
Yes.
And then they're just like, "Fuck it, this is it."
Why are you spoiling it?
Dude,
Well, I mean, no, you have to tell. Okay, Mark, just
I don't
don't
know
remember that.
No,
just
it's fine. It came out in 2010.
Yes.
Too late. Like they could watch it by now.
You could still, yeah. You should watch.
I don't
it if
remember
you
the whole
haven't seen
thing, but I just remember that part.
it. Okay,
It was very sad.
It's emotional. I remember crying during that part. That's why I brought that part because I cried. I was like shedding tears because the toys are going away. But okay, it's lazy. Back to Disney. Disney's being lazy. They're going to be able to get away with this shit in the future. What they're going to do, and they do this with casts and shows already. Andrew, you and I have talked about this, where shows are like, okay, who are we going to cast? We have a lead. He's or she's white. Okay, we got the black guy.
let's make him gay, right? So he's gay.
So we're covering both things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an Asian girl. Let's make her bi. It's like let's try to let's make this all. And they won't make new stories. That's the thing that's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
No one was pissed about Black Panther, but with this shit, they're just gonna keep. They won't make new stories for different cultures.
What do you mean no one was pissed at Black Panther?
It was an original story.
Oh,
Black Panther was an original story.
Oh, so good.
Ariel is a reskin. She's just like, black. Y'all happy? All right, let's go. So it's lazy, man.
Yeah, people are mad at an imaginary character getting a new skin.
I mean, it's good. I was talking to a friend about this. It's great for kids because the main consumers of this are going to be kids. So young Black girls that watch this, they'll be able to see themselves in a character, which is nice. It's great for kids, but like, it's just lazy. Like can't you just make a new story?
Yeah, you're just seeing it kind of everywhere, right?
You are,
I mean,
yeah.
You're seeing just people, just businesses, more and more commercials. You know, you're seeing like more. There's a lot of diversity in commercial. I saw a commercial the other day, and it had this very, very heavy guy in a wheelchair with like a cane, and he was talking about how he uses this like medication, and I was just like, years ago, you wouldn't see anything like that, but those are the consumers. Those are the people that are probably purchasing or interested in the diabetic medication that guy was utilizing. So I think that they're trying to maybe be more real with like the particular consumer that they're actually speaking to.
Yeah.
Because years ago, everyone was like on TV, they were what our idea of perfect was, which there is no perfect, right? But it was just white, and it was somebody really thin, and it was very particular. And if you go way back in like TV history, people even spoke a very particular way. It was real buttoned up, and they didn't even sound like anybody in America, much less represent anyone all that well, I don't think.
There were also character archetypes. So like if you ever go, like there's always a meme with old horror movies where the black person always died first, because that was legit a thing. The black person would always die first. And or when you go back to like traditional old TV media,
Gotta get like Wes Craven or something. Why?
But like
You sick bastard.
yeah, like the black guy was usually a criminal or a gangster or some shit like that. That's usually the depiction. So I mean, society's changing. There are more people in America, so like it's good to get more types of people on screen. That is beneficial. But hey, companies are just being lazy about how they do it. They're like, I forgot. There's someone I heard. There was a term that they put it, but it's like just stacking everything you can into one character. So
They're
that
like,
they can,
Popeye was pretty popular. Let's make him black.
oh God, dog! If they did that shit, that would be a bad move. Don't take Popeye away from me.
I can't find it. Somebody had posted, I think it was today, about some dude in a wheelchair. So he's sleeping with a girl. He gets up, and then like her boyfriend comes in, and he's just like kind of like sorry, and she's like fuck. And then the where a caption was like, would you like it if somebody took your place? Don't park in a handicap parking space. But it was so hardcore because it was like, you took his, like, this is not the same, but it was just so funny because it was just like so hardcore. I was just like, what's happening here? And that was, I don't know, it just caught me way off guard.
Those are great analogies.
Yeah.
I always shit in the handicap stall. Sorry. But it's so roomy in there.
It is.
You have a choice.
No, yeah. I mean, Andrew, you do the same shit, right?
Of course.
Yeah,
Get down there.
I always take the handicap stall.
Thanks to Mark, I don't want to give a secret, but there's a cool bathroom in the airports that are usually way roomier and quiet and nice and clean.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to blow it up because I blow it up there.
You kind of already blown it up.
Nah.
The amount, like the people are going to.
You guys travel with baby wipes?
Yes,
All the time.
Yeah.
I have them in my
No,
trunk.
yeah.
I have them in my jujitsu bag.
Yeah, I get like worried that I'm going to run out. I always buy more, and I have so many baby wipes like
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah,
It's good.
My wife's like, you have like thousands of baby wipes. She's like, I think you're okay. I was like, but what if I'm not?
Dog, it's so necessary. It's so necessary, especially since like sometimes I squirt from back there. You need to be clean.
Yeah.
I really might have a gut issue.
You definitely do.
I really might have a
You
gut
got
issue,
some shit
dog.
going on back there. All right. Let me see if I get some audio up in here before I get this going.
Oh, this was good. This was good. Bert Kreischer's fucking hilarious, bro.
He's so talented. I love how both those guys, they just, when they talk, they're just like, they're talking as if they're schmoes, you know, they're just talking as if they've never done anything. And it's like, oh my God, you guys are so fucking good at what you like. I mean, the arenas they sell out and shit, it's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Look, Nsima, you made it on the show.
Oh, hey.
Hey,
Let's check this out.
Which one? Right there, the one within the dead center. Right, that one. Read. Can you read that? Can you read that?
Yeah. I hear people say it's easier for you because you're rich, and it's easier for you because you're ripped. It's easier for you because you're on steroids, and they are right. Be rich, be less fat, be ripped, be on steroids. If you think something I have or something someone else has would make your life better or easier, go and earn it or go get it. Race to 0 followers. # race to 0.
Go back to the thing. Go back to his picture. Hit the picture. Hit the tag. Who did he tag in that picture? Bert Kreischer. Oh, wait.
That's funny.
Oh, it's a bunch of people. I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just tagged me.
Oh, yeah,
And then I
that's
signed up to go do steroids.
Yeah.
I signed up to go do steroids. That's awesome.
I signed up for steroids. That is dope.
That's my favorite part of that clip. I signed up for steroids. Yeah, that was cool. There, he was asking like who inspires him and who has him fired up and stuff. And for fitness, he said me. So that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Along with his trainer, obviously, he has a personal trainer that he goes around with. So, but yeah, it's cool to be able to help people out. You know, to be able to help people out. I think when we've had people come here, doesn't matter who they are. It could be someone like Bedros Keuilian, who we all hold in high regard, and he's doing great and he's in great shape himself. But it's flattering, you know, when someone's like, Nsima, bro, like, tell me what's going on. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me how you're lifting. Tell me, you know, we've had, and it's just as cool when it comes from someone in the fitness community, but sometimes you start to recognize how powerful it is, the information that we have, the things that we've learned about lifting and about nutrition, for me, running, jujitsu. It's really amazing. And you have these high level people that you would think, I got nothing to say to this guy. Like, fuck. Hopefully no one finds out that like I have nothing to add to this conversation. But then, you know, if they bring up anything workout wise or fitness wise, you're like, oh, that's my shit. I can jump in on this conversation.
Absolutely. And the dope thing is, number one, we're developing different capacities, but being fit and being healthy literally will help with anything that you're trying to do. Anything that you're trying to get better at, whether you're a comedian,
Make money.
whether you're trying to make money, whatever the fuck you're trying to do, it's going to be amplified if you become a healthier individual. If your body can work better. If your body can work better, your mind probably is going to be a little bit sharper. Everything is amplified. So it's like, I said it before, and it's really cringy, but when people do say that whole idea of health being wealth, like, and the amount of people that have come on the show that have had transformations, but they are already great in business, we've asked, you know, what's the thing that's been the biggest mover for you, right? It's like getting my health in check, you know, becoming fitter. That's been the thing that's been the biggest mover for them, despite having a lot of money. The health is the thing.
And it doesn't take much, right, Mark? Because like when Bedros was on and you asked him like, what's harder to make $1 million or be like, you know, 1% or single digit body fat percentage?
1%, you'd be dead.
Right. Unless what was Ronnie Coleman? There you go. Negative.
3%.
But you know, so when we think of it, like we are in the fitness space, you know, we think like ripped bodybuilders that are going crazy on stage, but it doesn't have to be that, right? You're talking like what, a loss in how much % of weight, like overall, like makes such a huge difference.
Oh shit! Like fuck, man. Obviously, you know, for people that are bigger, it would be a larger amount of weight, you know, but like, you know, 5%, 10%.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, man, like if it's a dude and a guy weighs, you know, 250. If he could come down to like 240, 225, you know, or 230, somewhere in that range, like you're going to have such a massive improvement. A lot of your markers for health supposedly improve. I think it's something like 90% of the health markers start to improve when you're looking at like things like blood pressure and glucose and insulin and those kinds of things just by losing about 10% of your body weight. So for someone that weighs 250, it'd be like, what, 25 pounds? Like, this is like, it's like reasonable. And it's like 25 pounds. Like, we know that that's not really that easy necessarily, but anybody listening that has a good amount of extra body fat on them knows that it's pretty easy to part ways with 5 to 10 pounds, and they've probably done it before. So it's like, you just got to do that like twice, you know, lose 10 pounds twice, and you're fucking right there.
And then look at some of the people that we've been able to have on the show recently. You know, there's a theme that we've been talking about as far as aging is concerned, but you know, there's all these people within the anti-aging space that talk about these hacks, biohacks, all that shit, right? And that's cool and all. But look at Olungalani, look at Mike O'Hearn. Is whatever you think about him, he's 53, but his skin is flawless. Hope you guys finally get on a skin routine after that episode. Moana, his wife, look at you. Like, look at you now versus a few years ago with all the things you're doing. Like, you're aging really fucking well. There's so many people we know that are in their 50s and their 60s, right? But since they've been able to keep the health thing in check, they're able to do all the things that they enjoy doing for a longer amount of time. Like, some people think that their life is literally going on the decline when they hit 40 or 50. But if you keep healthy, you have an upward trajectory of a bunch of things that you can continue to do at a very high level. You don't have to retire at a certain point. You don't have to feel old. It's like really simple with habits.
Yeah. And one of the like biggest like takeaways I've taken recently from the podcast that I'm super grateful is like the whole mindset thing, you know, especially with like Allah. Did I do it right? Yeah. Just fucking copy that and just paste it nonstop. You know, but like, I don't want to use the word retire. Like, I don't even want to put that in my vocabulary. I was at my nephew's birthday party this weekend, just hanging out with my son on the floor, and you know, my aunts and uncles were like on the couch, and they're just like, oh, this is like the old section, like we're all, you know, kind of run down now. And I'm just in the back of my head, I'm just like, man, what if he'd never thought that though? Like, what if he never knew that was going to happen? So like, that's something that I'm definitely going to implement for myself, my wife, my son, my daughter, because it's like, we don't have to just because everyone else says we have to.
You got up and you're like, run down compared to who?
Yeah.
Who do you want me to battle right now? Who do you want me to fucking sprint against, right?
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, man. Why can't you feel at least a little similar to the way that you felt when you were in high school? And Nsima and I were talking a little earlier, and we were just talking about how, like, having no inhibition with the kind of energy output that you're able to have. Because most of the time, I don't even know if we think about it consciously, but it's really locked in there. Like, I don't want to do that because that's too much. That's going to cost me way too much energy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use the elevator. I'm not going to carry that many groceries. The decisions happen. They're all day long, and for one person, it might be like, I'm not going to get down on the ground with everybody else right now because I might not get back up, or it might be really hard for me to get back up. I'm not going to, like, somebody might not even think about it, but they're just like, I'm not going to go for a walk because I'm conserving energy by sitting here. But a lot of times people are they're kind of in more pain than they recognize. And we had Dre come in the other day, and he was showing me like a bunch of kettlebell stuff, and I was showing him some stuff for his hamstring and things like that. And I told him when we were messaging back and forth on Instagram, I was just like, he's like, oh, I feel pretty good, and like things are going good. And I was like, you're more fucked up than you know. Because if you're not doing the hygiene part of it, if you're not glossing over these things, now he's a tremendously healthy guy. He fucking looks incredible, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we're all susceptible to get banged up here and there, and he's got something going on with his hammy. So I was like, well, let me show you a couple things that you can do to, like, you know, help get this out of there. And then I messaged him earlier today. I was like, I hope you continue to work on that, because once that's not there anymore, you'll be able to go well above and beyond what you were already doing, which is already fucking crazy performance. So I think in this country, like, most people are only concerned when they all of a sudden don't feel well, but they don't understand what it might be like. Like, I don't even know if I know what it's like just yet. They don't know what it's like to feel fucking incredible. I feel that way right now, but can I still feel better? Can I still have less inhibition? If you guys were like, hey, Mark, jump on the fucking table. Like, I'm not going to even try to jump on this table now because I know it's not there for me. I haven't practiced like jumping in a long time. I'd have to work on it. But maybe instead of jumping on this table, I'd be like, fuck it, I'll jump on Andrew's table without thinking about it. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we can knock down some of these barriers of inhibition that are really locked into our body from the way that we neglected, most of what you can point your finger at is not necessarily just poor dietary choices, but just neglect. Because what's the difference between the young and the old? The young, they kept moving. They keep moving. And even in our society today, where kids are moving a little bit less, they still move a lot. And you watch your nephew and some of the kids in your family, and you're like, fuck, man, that little bastard's pretty quick. That little guy's but they practice it all the time. They get up from watching TV and they zoom into the other room. They have no inhibition, to the point where you're like, oh my God, he's going to totally wreck himself. Like he's going to fucking slip on the floor and he's going to crack his head open and he's going to die. You're worried about them all the time, but they don't give a fuck because they don't have any pain.
Guys, a simple thing here too is what you were mentioning there, Mark, how young kids, they'll just like get up and run, right? They don't realize what they're doing, but they're microdosing, something that we tend to stop microdosing. Joel Green came onto the podcast, and what does he call it when he just like randomly goes into a sprint?
Being a psychopath. I called him the other day. He just got done doing those. He's like, I just hit my sprints.
So Joel Green will, from cold, right? He'll be walking, being cold, he'll just hop into like a 20-second sprint. Not at 100%, but hop into it, because he talked about how, you know, as you get older, that's one of the skills you lose, if your explosive ability. So he just randomly does it so that he always has the ability to randomly hop into a sprint. Think about this. Many people probably haven't been sprinting who listen in, or maybe you have been. But when's the last time you just went from cold? Usually you have to warm up, do your mobility, get a few hops in, you know, grease out the joints, and then you do a 50% sprint. But if you microdose that shit, like let's say you're on a 10-minute walk, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to go 50%. Just boom, just go. Go for like 30 steps and stop. Do that. Slowly increase your the amount of time you do that each day, each week, each month, and then you're going to be able to kind of sprint. Don't open it up too quick, though. Like, don't open your stride up. I've pulled my hamstring doing that shit, but you can keep that ability.
Could you do a little tiny fucking plyometric jumping down from the curb? I mean, you know, because like some people that are heavier and some people that haven't done much in a long time, they're like, I'm not jumping down from that curb. It's going to fucking hurt my ankle. Or if you're heavier, you're like, man, that's a lot of pressure. It feels like my foot's going to explode. Can you work your way into some of these things? I mean, I think there's a lot of simple things that you can kind of add to your day that will keep you ahead. But if you're not, you have to figure out a way to continue to move. So like, what's going to encourage movement from you? Is it running? Is it walking? Is it cycling? Like, God, hopefully you can find something.
When you're at work, you guys have seen us use this thing, this Nero ball from Naboso, right? It breaks in half. But while we're podcasting, both Mark and I, and Andrew has one under his feet over there, break this in half. We have this.
I'm using this right now. This is part of my recovery from my run yesterday.
Exactly. You know, we have it both under all of our feet. We're fucking able to smash out the bottom of our feet, find weird spots, stand on it, stretch out our toes. All these little things have been paying massive dividends for the way our feet move and the way we move. Like, I've been noticing in jiu-jitsu, when I'm like doing certain things with balance and moving, I'm just like, whoa, I'm feeling way less inhibited. Like you mentioned, like usually you have inhibitions when you do things. Well, my feet are feeling way less inhibited. I'm moving in ways I haven't before. But these small microdosed habits are compounding over time. And it's the little shit. It's the little shit. What you can do is you could pay attention to the times during the day when you're just sitting doing nothing, or when you're just sitting and working. How can you implement a habit within that that's not going to get in the way of your doing, but that's going to allow you to progress in something as far as your health is concerned? There's a lot.
You could be more offensive in your day rather than playing the defense. You know, if you think about the way that someone's going to play jiu-jitsu or play football, the way that someone's going to play a sport has a lot to do with their understanding of how their body works. And usually people are pretty smart. You know, the guy who doesn't have great conditioning is probably going to figure out ways of playing off their back. You know, the guy, he's going to want to try to relax, and he's going to want to try to like just really not take a lot of risks. And he's kind of hoping that you probably mess up. I'd imagine it's hard to be like amazing when you're limited to that. But there's guys that probably figure it out where you're like, that guy's fucking, how does he, like he gets people in pretty good, but how much better would he be if he didn't have those inhibitions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's and the thing again, it's very simple. and it's just adding in small habits in. One thing that you said that you've been getting a lot, Mark, is actually, I think you referenced it in your post, how people are wondering, well, you know, the reason you got time and the reason you're able to do all this is because you're rich, bro. Isn't it? Right? It's just because you got money now. That's why you're like, let me go take a run.
You know, I think kind of first of all, you know, I've been doing like whatever the fuck I want for a really long time. I've been just following my heart. That's what my parents kind of instilled in me. That's what they taught me. And with the love and the many hugs and much encouragement and all the belief that they had in me, allowed me to do a lot of that. So we just talked about inhibition. Well, I didn't have this extra thing to worry about because I had, you know, food, I had shelter, I had awesome parents that were always there. I think it's important to tell people that and to teach people that, because first of all, I'd love for the people that are listening to be great parents too, or do the best they possibly can when they have an opportunity to, because I really think, did a penis pump fall?
Man, I was so scared this thing was about to follow me. I bent down to pick this up. My booty hit the thing.
Oh, shit.
And then it shook a little
I
bit.
thought a penis pump was going to land on you.
Oh, you dropped Master Chief.
I was Master
But I
Chief.
think a way that we kind of reform the world is through the young people that are out there when they get the opportunity to be parents, you know, and hopefully they can instill some good qualities. But I've always been somebody that leaned towards the things that I like. I had a regular job for about a week and I fucking quit. I worked at Marshall's, stocking some shelves.
You worked at Marshalls.
Hey.
Yeah.
Do
I
they
didn't know.
even still have Marshalls?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere. It's outside.
Yeah. They told me to clean the bathroom and I was like, I'm out of here.
Nice.
I'm like, I'm not down with that. What happened to stocking shelves? I thought I could stock some shelves, you know? No, I'm like, I don't know about the cleaning the bathroom. But anyway, I've always leaned towards like doing the shit that I want to do and doing the things that I love to do. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of patience. There wasn't always money in it. It didn't always make sense. But it always made sense to me because I'm like, this is what I'd like to do. I'd have people make other suggestions. Oh, you should work over here. You should work over there. I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. Like, I don't want to be part of any of that. I don't want to work at the fucking airport. I don't want to, work at a store, ringing people up or whatever. I didn't want to do any of those things. So I was like, well, what are things that I can do so that I'm simultaneously, I guess like keeping the lights on, paying the bills. So I'm working to kind of maintain my life and lifestyle while I'm working towards what I would consider to be like a fortune, not necessarily in the money, but in just what I was after, which was a combination of money, freedom, and just success, I guess you'd say. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've always been kind of chasing, and I encourage other people to do the same. And it doesn't mean that you go in today and you go, fuck you, I'm quitting my job. Mm-hmm. It means that you follow that secondary or maybe firstary skill set that you have of photography, and you go and fucking take your shot. And you do what Tom Segura has talked about and what Bert Kreischer talks about. I really strongly advise that you guys listen to people like that and listen to Joe Rogan, because these are people that made enough money. They carved their way so well. Andrew Scholl's is another one. They carved their way so well that they don't need to worry about what NBC says or ABC or any of these big networks for them to make a movie, for them to have a TV series, or they don't even need a TV series or a movie. They can fucking just kill it with what they're doing, and they can figure out ways to monetize that in whatever way they want now. So you can play a similar game. It might not seem like it, but like you can start low and slow, and it's going to take a long time. Over time, if you take your shot, as Andrew did, walking through the doors of Super Training, being like, hey, man, I'm going to perv on these girls and snap some pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Would you be interested in these photos, Mark? Oh, my God.
It wasn't my fault that the one opportunity I had to talk to you, you just happened to throw an event where it's nothing but hot chicks. Like,
Who was here? It was...
It's like, these pictures are great. I just saw pictures of butts.
Yeah, I remember Amanda Bucci was here. I was like,
Very pretty.
Yeah.
Ashley Horner.
So that was why I was there, because Ashley Warner.
I think I was there on that day too. I was just lurking like.
Wearing some gray sweatpants.
Actually, I was wearing tights, but you
Meg Squats was there too, right?
Squats was there.
God, what's the other chick's name?
Jen Wiederstrom was there.
Jen was there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Jen.
Yep.
Jen.
Yeah.
Jen's great.
Thinking about that day, sorry.
But seriously, like
Yeah.
you came in on that day and you just tell the story.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this is
absolutely.
how you started.
Yeah, I know. I've said it on the podcast before, but like it's been a while. But basically, so I was just like a freelance photographer. So I had a 8 to 5 job that I didn't love. I call it the medical outfield because it was just medical records. So it's like, oh, I'm in the medical field. Oh, what part? Like, oh, the part that doesn't deal with anybody, just the fucking clerical side of it. So I hated it. I noticed one day that like if I disappeared, nobody would have noticed. Like the job just would get done by somebody else, and it's currently still getting done by somebody else still, you know?
Yeah.
But I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was like, there's somebody in the cubicle right now that fucking hates their job, and like they're not even supposed to be listening to this podcast, but they're hiding around doing it. And I was like, holy shit, that's me. Like that person feels stuck or whatever. You know, he kept going on, and I'm like, that's it. I'm going to fucking take this shit serious. So again, started freelancing, doing every single gig I could get, from shitty, you know, house parties to, you know, kids' birthday parties, weddings, portraits, etc.
Yeah.
But I was always into fitness. So my wife actually was like, holy shit, Ashley Horner's going to be at a gym in West Sacramento. When she said West Sacramento, because I watched Bigger, Stronger, Faster, but Chris Bell was on Rogan not too long before that. And he mentioned West Sac super training. I was like, oh shit, like that's that super training. So I knew right away. And so I'm like, we got to go. And I had just said, like, if I catch a moment where Mark's by himself, I'm just going to ask him, like, hey, do powerlifters need photos taken? In my head, I was like, oh, he's going to be bombarded with fans, and like, I'm never going to have this opportunity. But there was like a lull in like the events and shit going on, and Mark was just kind of hanging out, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And so like I walked up to him. I was super nervous, like holy fuck. I was just like, hey man, like I'm a photographer, and like I don't know if powerlifters ever need pictures taken, but you know, I would love to be that photographer.
Yeah.
And he was like, powerlifters don't need photos taken. I was like, oh fuck, okay, well at least I tried. He's like, but I need a photographer. I don't have an in-house photographer. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, well, here's my card, you know, like please hit me up and let me know what I can do for you. And I think the number I put on there was like a Google Voice number, because I was trying to pass that card out to as many people as possible, but I didn't want them to have my number.
Yeah.
And so Mark's trying to text it, and it's going to someone else and shit. And so he ended up having to email me. Damn. And so I ended up...
That was lucky.
Fuck yeah, it was, because he doesn't fuck with email.
Exactly.
So I didn't even think about that, actually. Holy shit. Yeah, that's super lucky. But in that moment, I had no like fitnessy photos of any kind. So one of the gigs I did was a housewarming party for an owner of a CrossFit gym that's no longer in business. But shout out to my boy Philip Trujillo, because he was part of that group, and so we're still friends. But I went and did photos for them for free, because I was like, I need something to show Mark that I can fucking do this. And so I did some pretty dope pictures. So when I came in, I showed Mark those pictures. He dug them. I printed them out and I put them in like a magazine and shit. But I think I just pulled up a laptop because I wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah.
But he saw me, dug them, and he's like, all right, we'll come in, whatever it was, like random, like leg day Tuesday. So he's like, come in on Saturday and, we'll do some stuff. And so like I worked for, I don't know, like a month and a half, 2 months for free. Like I didn't even worry about it. And then my work schedule was going to change. So I was going to have to work on the weekends. So I told Mark, I was just like, hey, like I know we do a lot of shooting and stuff on the weekends, but my schedule is going to change. And he was like, well, we don't have to worry about that much longer. And then he walks away. And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what? We're not gonna have to worry about it. I was like, yeah, I gotta worry about it. I'm like, is he gonna offer me a job? Like, what's going on here? And then sure enough, like that week, he was just like, hey, dude, like he called me. He's like, I want you to work for us full time. He's like, the money will come eventually. He's like, but this should be enough to get you started. And it was, I mean, no, like not dissing Mark or anything, because it was an amazing opportunity, but it was a low number that it was like, oh shit, can we even do this right now? Because at that time, my wife and I, it was paycheck to paycheck, like we were not where we are today. It was tough, but my wife was like, this is what you've always wanted to do. This is your dream. So we have to give it a shot. And so we did. And thank goodness we did, because, I just worked my ass off to try to bring as much value to super training as possible. and made it to where like I was like ingrained into almost everything that we do or that we were doing back then.
Implanted yourself.
Yes, I planted that seed deep, and
got deep in them loins.
yeah, and it was the most amazing like shot that I've ever taken. I remember I woke up in the middle of the night with like chest pain, so stressed that I was gonna fuck things up. Like, oh fuck, we got a big shoot tomorrow. All I could think about was, God damn, I'm going to mess something up and have like Marcus Filipino Thunder have to do a big lift again. He's going to be so pissed off.
He's going to get that man.
He's going to fucking, are you serious? Like fucking, kick my ass or something, like these were thoughts that I had, and so like it wasn't, I wish I could be like, oh, I got this opportunity and I fucking ran with it and you couldn't, there was no looking back. Like every day was like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. But like getting thrown into the fire, like, it made me grow so much. And then also, so it was Mark, and then at that time, Charlie Zamora, who was a fucking psychopath, because he would just like, we need this done now. Like, dude, dog, like I just like I got here. And he's like, no, either you do it or we're going to find somebody else that does it. And I love him for it, because without that, I wouldn't be who I am. Like I am fucking, now I look at other photographers and I'm like, why are you guys so slow? Like, what's going on here? And so because of all this, like having that one fucking chance to meet Mark and like, again, give him my card and shoot my shot, it led to, a fucking dream come true. And like,
one of the top fitness podcasts in the world, bro.
Yeah, that's
like,
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say like generational changes are being made because of that one day. Like, like I'm gonna break a path that's going on in my family, and like there's a lot of cool shit that's happening because of like where this all started and where it's going.
But see, some people are gonna say what you did was luck, but you went out of your comfort zone to go to a gym that you never thought, and you asked the dude,
yes,
do you need this? You wouldn't wait for something to come to you. You went for it, because people would say, "Oh, Andrew's lucky," but they don't see like you implanted yourself on day one, and now look where you are. Right? It's there's luck, but
of course
there's all the luck started with an action you chose to take.
Yeah, and this was, I think, after about 7 years of trying to figure shit out with the camera. Like getting confident.
And you had the experience with the camera too. Think about that.
Getting confident enough to be like, oh fuck, if he does say yes, like, oh okay, I can do this, and then I went and did it, but. Yeah, there's a lot of luck, and I'm not going to deny that. Like what you just said about the email thing. Like I can't think of an email that Mark has ever written me other than that first one. But
usually just delete.
Yeah. So other than that, it was a lot of just hard work and just fuck comfort zone, dude. My comfort zone was like the size of a dime.
How about the podcast though? Because no, seriously, I think you should mention that too, because that's a big deal.
Well, okay, so I'll try to be as brief with that one as possible, but. I could just see that changes were being made with the previous like setup of the podcast, and I don't mean personnel. I mean literally like equipment wise setup. And I just kind of looked, and I'm just like, based on manpower, they don't have enough people to run this new setup.
Yeah.
So I had asked Mark, I'm like, hey, can I be the guy back here, just making sure nothing falls apart? And he's just like, okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Then it did go through some personnel changes, and I kind of cornered Mark, and I'm just like, I'm still the guy. I'm going to produce this show. And he's just like, sick. I don't have to find somebody to do it now. And then again, in that moment, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
You didn't know shit.
I didn't know a fucking thing. I had no clue. Shout out to Krusty Kev. He did help get me on my feet. He's the one that set up the original studio. So he did show me the ropes, but part of the way through of setting up the previous studio, it was like I caught up to his knowledge base, and then we started learning together because he was still in that field. So once we did start hitting record, I had to go back to YouTube University. So like a lot of the shit was all learning on the fly.
On YouTube though.
On YouTube.
Your school was YouTube.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, no fucking engineering school. No disrespect to anybody that did go to school for this. I actually admire the fuck out of you, and I have a shit ton of questions for you because I have so much to learn. But a lot of people that do want to start this stuff, it's like, no, like you just need a phone and fucking go to anchor.fm and start a podcast right now. Like it's that easy. But to get it running, sounding, looking professional is a whole nother story. So I did have to fuck things up and then learn how to fix it and kind of learn how to make it sound better. So like I remember the first live that we did, I was like shaking back here. I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then, then all of a sudden I had a microphone in front of me asking Mark questions and voices all like, cracking. And I still get nervous to this day, but a lot of it was on the job.
Are we recording right now?
Yes. I still get the cold chill. For people that don't know, it's just like kind of inside joke, but like I'll hit record 10 minutes in, I'll be like, oh, I didn't hit record. And I'll look back and then it's like, it's rolling. So we're good there.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, so that was just being in the right place at the right time and getting out of that comfort zone one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's been very difficult for me to do my entire life.
That sounds like luck, bro.
Power Project family, I hope you guys are enjoying this episode. Now, Mark, Andrew, and myself have been cold plunging for a while now. We actually use the Cold Plunge XL. But the reason why this has become part of our daily routine every single day is because of honestly how good it makes us feel coming out of that water. Now, if you want to take a cold shower, that is beneficial and you need to be doing that if you don't have a cold plunge. But if you do get a cold plunge that goes all the way down to 39 degrees, it's crazy because Andrew Huberman actually talked about the benefits of dopamine post cold plunging. Now, cocaine gives you a 2.5 rise in your dopamine release. Cold plunging gives you that also, but it also gives you a sustained higher level of dopamine throughout your day. That's just one of the benefits, as there are many. So if you guys want to get on it, Andrew, how can they?
Oh, yes. You guys got to head over to thecoldplunge.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save $150 off. And before we drop off here, I do have to say that this has been the absolute best thing I have ever done for my mental health. Every single day I get in this cold plunge and I come out a happier, more positive, and more vibrant human. I can't recommend this enough. Again, thecoldplunge.com, promo code PowerProject to save $150 off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
I think people need to know too, you're not going to like make the money that you want to make. Like it's going to take a while. Especially if it's something that like for a lot of people, they will have a job or maybe they went to school. Mm-hmm. And they're not really gaining the experience in the thing that they truly love. And so when they come to you as an employee, if you're an employer, it's the smartest thing in the world is to underpay them. And the reason is because you need to see if they are willing to make that leap. Like if they're willing to make that leap and they're willing to go through some of that for a little while, then you know who you have. Then obviously it's important to like promote once you have them in the door. But I think it's also an important part of the process is that they're not making some amount of money as if they're coming in super experienced. If you came from an agency and you're like, oh, I used to do photos for this guy, that guy, and I have a social media background and I came from these 7 other companies and well, I would just, I would offer you money and you'd be like, dude, like that's just not anywhere near anything. Like I need to make 150K. That's a different story. When someone comes to you with a lot of experience, you're going to have to match that and decide if that's for your company. But my experience has been, I want people that also want to do and pursue the things that they want to do. I want people that have dreams. And I'm going to give you the money so that you can pay your bills, but it's not going to be the money of your dreams. You got to work towards that and you got to work for that. And that's going to take some time. And so you guys seen it time and time again with the different people who've come through the doors and the different people that worked here. And some people get it and they work their way through it. And sometimes it doesn't always work out the same way for each person. But if you're going to chase down your dreams, you're going to have times where you're just not. It's going to be very difficult in most cases for you to figure out how to have an income that is really worth the shit until you did enough work to show that you have an output that can be monetized really well.
Yeah, and that was definitely something that I think we both connected on because I even told you like before when I was working for free, I was like, money doesn't motivate me. Money doesn't drive me. I'm like, I just want to make my own footprint on this planet. And so like, even if that means it's pictures of you and of the gym, and some cases like in the books and stuff, it does say, photography by Andrew Zaragoza, which I'm super fucking proud of. Or like when we got in Flex magazine, like, oh my God, dude, that was the most incredible day ever. When I went to the store and went to the magazine rack and bought the fucking shit that had my name in it, and so it's like, shit.
I didn't know that.
Oh, dude.
Do we have that magazine here or no?
I have it at home. Yeah.
Okay. That's this.
Yeah.
Sick.
So like that shit was like that's what I wanted, I wanted that more than anything. And because like I said, I wanted to put my own footprint on this planet, so when I'm gone, my shit's still here instead of just following someone else's footsteps.
I'd like for people to think about what's the lowest amount of money that you could make, like
That's a good point, yeah.
And then also people like they factor in so many other things. Sometimes a company will give you like company car and all these things.
Insurance.
Like, it's really like I make 150 or 200, and it's like, no, you actually make the 80 that they give you. Just relax. But you also have to factor in that you may be doing a job that you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. What's the price of that? Like that sounds like a key ingredient. Like you're doing something you don't want to do. Now, if you're doing something 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and it affords you to do fishing trips on the weekend, and affords you to do stuff with your family, and you're able to take some of the vacations that you want, and you're there for the holidays, and you're there for most of the stuff that you want to be around for, that sounds pretty good. That sounds like a pretty good trade-off. Like I got to do some shit that I really don't want to do. Maybe a little more often than I'd like, but I still get to, pick my kids up from football practice. I still get to watch them play the game. I still get to chill on the weekend. That sounds pretty good. That sounds fairly balanced, but there's a lot of people who don't have that. They're doing stuff that they don't want to do. They're not making the money that they want to make in the first place, and they're not leading the life and having the life that they want. So it's like, fuck, man, I'd love to see you make a jump from your $80,000 or $100,000 a year job down to half, fucking make the jump. That's what other people do that have figured out how to make it. It doesn't really mean that you start your own business either. You still might work for somebody or with somebody, because owning your own shit is complicated, and that's not for everybody either.
Mm-hmm. But a big thing is like, man, one of the things that I think it's now possible for more people than it's ever been possible in history is just kind of the ability for your work to be something that you like. My mom, for example, didn't have the luxury of, like, don't get me wrong, she's a civil engineer. It's not like she hated it, but she's going to a cubicle from 9 to 5 every day, along with 2 kids that she had to deal with, right? And just working and working and working. And I've talked to her about the goals that she used to have, right? And there's things that she wanted to do. There's other things that she would have wanted to spend time learning or trying to get good at, but she went to school to be an engineer, and she was now stuck with 2 kids. There was no internet. It's like engineer. But now, like, you got all these cats that are, if you're young, I'm going to say this, and there's not, like, if you're older, you can do this too, but if you're young, this is the time to kind of figure out what kind of shit are you interested in. You always talk about interest level, because if there's something you're interested in, Andrew, you built the skill of being a photographer for 7 years before you ever talked to Mark. You already had a skill. Like, you had a trade, bro. And then you just found somebody who needed that trade, but you had it. Now, if you weren't doing that and you were just working whatever random ass jobs you're working without that skill, and that event came, you wouldn't be here right now.
No. And then also, like, I wish I'm not good with math, but like I didn't like study photography in high school. Like I wasn't on the like fucking yearbook team or any of that shit.
Yeah.
Like I used to say like, oh, I wish I could go back and figure that out. But like, I don't know, man. I was like, mid-20s when I like got my first camera and I started like making videos and shit.
Yeah.
So like I picked it up really late, like really, really late. So like, yeah, as far as like timing and stuff, you do have time, but like you gotta, if you are a little bit older, like start getting on it sooner than later.
And there's so many like people that need assistance now. Like if you're if you know how to handle editing stuff on social or whatever, that might not be a thing you're interested in, but there are so many people that do high level content that are willing to just pay people to make that stuff for them. And you can learn this shit on YouTube. Like all you need is a phone. You don't need to like do this shit on Final Cut. You just need a phone and you could edit up some amazing videos. Someone just hit us up to edit some videos for you.
Oh, yeah.
And now he's hired. And he remotely making videos for you. And he's making some money. Right? But it's just some random guy. So
it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, there's so many different ways to make money, and when it comes to, finding what you enjoy, you might have to do something that's secondary or like an offshoot of that.
Yeah.
Just figure out if you can get your foot in the door. If somebody wanted to work here, like figure out how to work in our store. Like literally, I believe that just about anybody could work in our store. They can kind of examine and look around, and maybe they want to try to figure out stuff to do for social media or any other business. And just get your foot in the door, figure out what they need. If you go somewhere, if you literally just walk into a building, like walk in unannounced, and just say, I follow this place on Instagram, and I would absolutely love nothing more than to figure out how to have a job here, because this place seems like it kicks ass. Somebody's going to pay attention to you. Somebody's going to say, they might say, hey, you got to come back in 2 weeks, or you got to come back, can I have an appointment? Can I fill out a resume? Or, I mean, people aren't going to turn you away. They're going to be excited that you're excited to work there.
Yeah. Okay. This is, there's one thing I was going to say too. Oh yeah. With adding on to what you said though, just all you have to think about is like, how can I just add value to whatever these people or this person or this team is doing? If you legit just have you don't have to have a full business plan, but if you have some ideas of just some way you could actually add value, I guarantee you're going to get a lot of looks. And again, because the internet and social, you can reach out to a lot of people. Number one, you can do some stuff in person, but also you can do a lot of stuff remote. And if you have the skills to help somebody out with something remote and they're willing to pay you, if there's something else that you really want to do, now you have this remote job. Like one of the guys that works with the podcast, Carlos, doesn't live here. He lives in the East Coast. He has other stuff he does, but he has a skill of editing stuff, and he's able, and now he's able to make that while also pursuing the other things he wants to pursue. It gives you more time to head towards what you want to do. But what I was going to mention was Andrew and I were kind of talking about this luck thing, and this whole topic is coming up because you brought it up. How like people are like, are you only like how lucky are you, or are you able to do this shit because you're rich? Or whatever?
Like lucky or patient or good at what you do,
or good at what you do. But how I got here is also like there was some luck involved, but it was the same thing. Like Andrew, like there was luck, and there was also putting myself like out there. Okay, so what happened, the first time I ever came to Super Training was actually, I think, in 2014. It was at the old Super Training, and there was a seminar where you, Omar, Yusuf, and Mike did a live podcast. And I came, and I was in the audience with my ex-girlfriend. And when you guys were finished, I asked a question. And I remember it was either you or Omar was like, that question's a little bit too complicated. I don't know if we can really answer it. But what happened after that was the LA Fit Expo of the next year, I went out to Barbell Brigade, and I drove out there, my beat up ass Corolla. I drove my car out there because I didn't have money for a plane ticket, because my goal was just to like network with fitness people and see what the fuck I could do. Then when I was training at Barbell Brigade, you recognized me because I think you remember me from that live podcast you guys did. So you recognized me, and you're like, you should come train at Super Training. And I didn't have the balls beforehand to actually just randomly come into the gym and train, even though it was still free. It's always been free. I didn't have the balls to do that. But after you invited me, I immediately started coming and training. And then you guys would go out to expos and shit. And I just asked, hey, y'all don't need to pay me, but I know I can sell shit. How about you guys, I'll come to the next expo. Oh, yeah. That was that LA Fit Expo from 2015. So this was actually right after I did a bodybuilding show, and I was coming after contest. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I also met Mike O'Hearn. I don't think he remembers this, but that was when I met Mike O'Hearn. I forgot what gym that was.
Pretty shredded.
Yep. Looking, yeah. I think I was like 235 there. Yeah.
How old were you?
That was 2015. I'm 30 now.
So much hair.
So I was 20. I was about to turn 23, or I was already 23 at the time. So
who's the dude in the front? He's pretty shredded.
I don't know who that guy is.
I see Mike Rashid in there too.
Looking
great.
Mike Rashid's like looking massive. But yeah, yeah, that was the first time I met O'Hearn. But yeah, like I drove out to the San Jose Vid Expo with you guys. I didn't get paid, but I literally asked you guys, hey, if I drive out, can I just come help you guys sell shit at the booth? I didn't ask to get paid. And y'all were like, yeah, sure. I came. And then you're like, okay, looks like he can talk to people and sell some shit. So then you guys invited me to come out to other expos.
Yeah.
So I just randomly started doing stuff with you guys then we randomly, and I ended up in videos because I was lifting with you guys, and then finally became part of like the team. And then a few years later, I started doing a podcast with my friend because I saw like what you guys are doing here. I was like, I want to do podcasts. So I started this podcast called We Don't Know Yet with my best friend, Brian. And I was doing that for like a year and a half. And then you invited me first off as a guest on the podcast. And then you and Andrew invited me to come co-host the podcast. I think it was episode 176. So I was lucky I was already doing some podcast stuff before. Mm-hmm. Even though when I look at old podcasts, I was nervous as fuck. But it's like, if I didn't come to that seminar that early, like back in 2014, I didn't ask that question, you might not recognize me from being from Sacramento, and you wouldn't have invited me to the gym and come train. And then none of this would have happened. So again, like Andrew.
And none of that beginning stuff has really anything to do with an occupation or transaction of money.
No, I didn't ask for money. I didn't, like when I was like, I'll go to the expo. I didn't ask to go with anyone. I didn't.
Did they ask
for
what
assistance.
college you went to?
Nah.
No? Okay.
Nah. Right? I was just like, I'm pretty sure I can sell some shit with you guys. I can sling some slingshots, and boom.
Well, bam.
Well, and if you go back even further, it's like your soccer background helped. Your experience at, I think you said you worked at 24 Hour Fitness.
I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, but at the time when I started working with you guys, I was a full-time online coach. So I was working with bodybuilders, and I was also prepping powerlifters for meets. So coaching was the only thing I did. And my whole thing was just, I never wanted to have a boss. Mm-hmm. That was like, that's why like I did all that, because I had a normal job for a bit when I was in my teens, late teens. I was like, I fucking hate working in a building for hours. I can't stand it. So yeah, that's all of that kind of helped this.
But those other life experiences are crucial, and like even playing soccer and then getting injured, and like, you know, kind of just seeing how far you can take your body. Like it kept you interested in other stuff. Then you started doing
I don't know if you want that back.
Getting more into bodybuilding, right? And
yeah.
I mean, all of the whole story matters, you know, like,
I was already a pro. I was already a pro natural bodybuilder in a few federations. When I got
that's
here.
another key factor. And going back to Andrew's story too, it's like Andrew had at least a jumping off point, you know, being a pro bodybuilder, like being someone who, goes from being jacked, which you were jacked when you were a little young, and then being more jacked, I guess you'd say. Came out the womb jacked.
I was sucking that trend milk.
Yeah.
But transforming your body like that, and the amount of discipline that it takes, and the low calories and the different shit you put yourself through doing many bodybuilding shows, like all those experiences, they're all really, really important, and they're all critical. And why were you doing those things? Like wasn't really for, especially then, like, I mean, social media was less aggressive, and like, it's just, what was it for? It's just like, well, fucking, I don't know what it's for. It's what I like to do. This is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And it keeps leading you down these other paths. So it's a great idea to continually try to follow what you're interested in. Hopefully what you're interested in is like healthy. Hopefully you're not just like chasing chicks or something, which there's really nothing wrong with that, but sometimes that can lead to you running into some devil pussy.
Devil pussy mugs will be coming to you guys soon at our website, which is probably going to be done by this time.
Coffee tastes different out of there too, doesn't it?
Tastes like pussy.
A little sweeter.
Somebody left
sweeter.
on the Within You brand, Instagram. We made a post of like this combination of like salted caramel, steak shake, and vanilla protein powder that I mixed together. And I was like, it tastes really good. Someone's like, when you coming out with pussy flavor? And it got a lot of likes, you know, a lot of other people liked it. And one of our employees here was like, this is disgusting. I was like, listen,
Read the room.
somebody, I was like, if somebody came out with pussy flavored protein powder, I'd be the first person in line. I'd be purchasing that.
I would buy that.
Sold
I wouldn't
out.
need a code. I'd buy that immediately.
I would be like, oh, that's a little strange. $280. Okay, check out. Boom. Buy 10.
You know what would be a hell of a business idea for anyone in the adult space?
What is that? Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I think so they do have like molds of different porn stars' vaginas as fleshlights, and they're like, oh, this is Asa Akira, this is Lisa Ann, this is Sasha Grey. These were some of my favorites as a youth.
Wasn't Sasha Grey like from Sacramento too, or did I
Like,
imagine that?
Studies.
I could be wrong. I don't want to Google it.
I haven't purchased any of these, by the way. It's just I just know about them.
Things he's heard.
But if you came out with a protein powder that was like, this tastes like, you see where I'm going here. Yeah. And if you just got their signature, like, this is authentic, that's a hell of a way.
That's the name.
It's it's like what is it? Desiccated, right? Desiccated sperm. There we go.
Oh, do you remember where you were before we got here?
No.
Something
No one
about
cares.
opportunity. I don't know.
That is an opportunity.
It is.
I was just saying, like, you know, the many different things that you do kind of lead you. It's always going to lead you to something better, right? You go and you try something, and you find out that job at that fast food restaurant like wasn't anything that you really dug for long enough, but it leads you to think about maybe something that you do want to do. So you get a job where you're you work in fucking insurance or something, and you're just crunching numbers, and you're one of those kind of people, and you just find out like, oh, I kind of like numbers and I'm good with numbers, but I actually like people more so than anything. So maybe you start doing what my dad does. Maybe maybe you do run a tax practice or something like that. You know, you gotta again see. My dad is an interesting thing, or he's an interesting person, and his job switches over the years because it only touches upon some of his interests. It's not like fully, he doesn't like love taxes. Doesn't like love everything, all things taxes. But my dad is he's a really good problem solver. You could go to him with anything and he's going to give you the longest explanation you ever heard in your life. And he's going to give you some like at least halfway decent solutions. He's really good at that. He's good at when he talks to people. And when it comes to something like taxes, it's like that particular job hit him perfectly because it mixes what he's already good at with some things that he loves. So sometimes it's a blend. Like it's not always like personal training. Like you don't really love personal training. You don't love changing the weights for people. And, you know, there's going to be certain people that come in where you're going to be like, oh my God.
Or they don't come in and they call you 5 minutes before your appointment at 5 a.m. and they're like, sorry, can't come.
And you're already at the gym.
Yeah,
there's shit like that happens, right? Yeah. And so there's going to be like parts to every job that you may not like, but I think it's important too to like know yourself. Like what kind of person are you? Do you want to work for somebody else? Like, can you work for somebody else? Can you work well with other people? Like if you can't work well with other people, then maybe you got to try to figure out a way to have a job from home or a way to monetize YouTube videos where you don't have to really worry about you don't have to really worry about other people. And what I get from watching Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer is they just do stuff. Like in that last podcast that they did, Bert was like, I was in a meeting and like turns out this guy like he couldn't work with me at the time, and he goes, I just walked out and I said, I'm done. I'm gonna go do my own thing. And you can only do that if you already have built yourself into something. Like never mind the financial aspect of it, which can be important too.
Yeah.
But you have to like make something of yourself. But the only way to make anything of yourself is that you have to try a lot of things, and you're going to fuck up, and you're going to fail, and you're going to feel like you're not that good at stuff. Something like soccer is a great example. My experience with pro wrestling is another example. Like I'm sure you went to camps and things like that where your eyes just bugged out of your head. You're like, holy fuck. Like I'm good and I think that I'm pretty good. Yeah. And maybe I can kind of hang with a good amount of these people here, but fuck, like there's some really just radical people here that are amazing. I experienced the same thing in pro wrestling, like watching Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin Shelton Benjamin jumping up on the top rope like it was nothing and then fucking running around on the top ropes, balanced all 4 corners and then did a backflip. I'm like, okay. I'm going to have to, at the very least, if I'm going to pursue this further, I'm going to have to figure out something else to be good at because I don't believe that I can be better than that guy at that particular thing.
Absolutely. And let's go back to this how can I add value thing. I think that if you're
That's
young,
simple, yeah.
It's simple, but if you're young, a lot of the times the ego is a bitch because some people want to be a main character.
Mm.
I want to straight up say everyone knows it. I'm a co-pilot here. I came into this podcast understanding that I'm here to I'm the guy who's going to be throwing assists to Jordan. You know what I mean? And it's good to understand that because I think one thing that people can do is they can figure out how can I learn how to be a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4 to somebody who's the number 1. A lot of people aren't okay with that. A lot of people want to always be the number 1. And that can get in the way of them being able to achieve a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But when I came onto the podcast, I was like, man, I get to talk to a lot of cool people. I get to learn. Now my new job, the new thing that I get to do that I'm hungry for every day because I love reading and I love learning. Now I just do that shit and I come and I talk about it with people and I get to learn from people. But I was like, how can I be of benefit here, right? That's something that a lot of y'all can do. You can find people, whether it's fitness, whatever, you come in, you're like, how can I add value? How can I be of benefit? And also, if you're a young guy or a woman, how can you drop your ego to understand that you are now here to be beneficial? You're here to bring assistance.
Mm-hmm.
That's a space where like you could figure that shit out. There's big opportunity there.
Yeah, and if you get some light thrown your way, you'll have to figure out how to navigate that too. You know, because that can get tricky, right? Like you see it happen with basketball teams and football teams. Like this guy was kind of the leader of the team. Now there's this other guy coming in, but like, you know, with the Patriots and the different teams that Tom Brady's been on, I think everyone's just like, hey, listen, like it appears that if we help him out, that it helps out everybody else. Yep. And that it gets us a lot of points on the scoreboard at the end of the day. And it also puts a lot of money in our pocket. So let's continue with that. Let's keep that going. And I think, you know, and it doesn't mean that like the Scottie Pippen and the other guy, doesn't mean like those people can't go on to do their own things because you see that all the time too. And that ends up being a success a lot of times. But it's important just to understand where you're at in your life and kind of, as The Rock used to say, know your role.
Yeah. I know it's funny, like, I'll say coming up, I never thought about like being 1 or 2 or anything like that. But as the running your own shit, like you have nobody else. So like I would hire friends to be like a second shooter, but it was always just like, we're going to make this bride feel special because there's not 1 photographer, there's 2, sometimes 3. Like that's how big we are, you know, and I would lose money on it because I had to pay them. And like, I didn't know how to wrap that into like the proposal or whatever to be like, oh, you're going to get like extra photographers. Yeah. It was always like, hey dude, just like capture shit. So then just in the weird case that I don't come through, you have like a side picture of it. But yeah, like when I came here, like I knew, I mean, obviously as a photographer, no one's looking at you to be number 1, but you have to be able to like control the number 1s, you know, like it was tough. It was very hard to do that. But thankfully, you know, again, getting thrown into the fire, I was okay. But yeah, I 100% agree with that though. Like if you understand that like I guess the greater good of the company and bringing more value is just going to make you become more valuable because of it.
Absolutely. It was a funny thing. Back in the early Instagram days, I saw a lot of when online coaching was becoming a thing, like people would name their coaching businesses after themselves. And when I made my coaching business, it was called Break the Bar Coaching. I didn't name it Nsima Inyang Coaching because I don't like things. I don't want my name on. Like I want it to be about an idea, not about me. So like I think I'm very lucky that we were able to come into this because I don't need to be the main draw. You know what I mean?
See, a lot of people change the names too. Like even
Yeah.
Christian Guzman.
Alpha Elite.
Yeah. It used to be
Yeah.
Christian Guzman Fitness or some shit like that.
But you know, this is just an aside about like that type of branding thing. I'm not some type of brand expert, but like Alpha Elite was an idea. You know what I mean? It's not Christian, it's Alpha Elite. So that's just like something to think about if you're a young person, you want to start something. There's no problem naming it after yourself. But if you want to be able to potentially leave it later, then I don't know. Just think about that. Just think about that. I'm not the pro on branding though. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah, with this show, I think there was like a couple things that I did early on. Like if I think back to the SlingShot, I remember, putting it out, and I talked to all my friends are big and fat, but I talked to one of my many big fat friends, and what he said was, he's like, you should put like your signature on there. It's like, it will say SlingShot on there, but you should like just throw your name on there. He's like, like the commissioner of the NFL, he just like signs it on there.
Yeah.
And then that way it's like Mark Bell SlingShot. And I was like, holy fuck, that's actually really genius, because my main concern is that somebody else will make something similar.
People have tried.
Yeah, even though you have like patents and different things, like people are still going to make things. But if it's mine and I'm already recognizable in powerlifting, like that would be helpful. People would be like, oh, well, he was first. And I don't know, maybe they would, because I was first, maybe they'd want to support what I had ahead of time because I was an original or whatever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really happen anyway, but
It also doesn't hurt that your name is 2 syllables.
yeah, it's easy.
Mark
right?
Bell. Mark Bell.
It's
Mark
easy. So I wanted to brand it that way. And then just as I've grown in business, I was just like, well, I think it just makes sense to use my name for certain things. It makes like the branding easier. And then when you're looking on a podcast, like you don't want it to have a confusing name. I think Lex Friedman, I think Rogan told him, like, just call it Lex Friedman's podcast or whatever. It had a different name previously, and like people couldn't find it. They didn't. They were just wanted to consume stuff from Lex Friedman. They couldn't get to it and stuff like that. So that was part of the reason in naming this, and sticking my name in the front of this. It's just like, well, if somebody searches something from me, and I've known for a long time that this is going to be the most amount of work that I ever do, regardless of like any other videos. I've shot a lot of videos in fitness. I've shot a lot of stuff. But this podcast will surpass any amount of footage that I ever created or any amount of content I'll ever create. It'll just mainly all be from this. So if someone searches me, boom, they find the Power Project.
It's funny. Like when we actually think about the hours, how many episodes deep? 8 something?
8, like 804.
804?
Yeah.
Let's just like,
and that's not like a strict 804. There's like Saturday schools, and then there's like episode 599 and episode 599. And it's like, oh fuck, we're already at like 6 something.
And
like,
what did I do? Like I did like 500 or 600 previous to that, right?
I think
on the
so.
Powercast. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So yeah,
This was like 1400 or something. Yeah.
Been behind the mic for a long time.
long time.
Times 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah. I think podcasts for us probably average around like an hour 45 to 2 hours. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody could average it out for us.
There's a lot of talking.
You'll need to have a skill set. That's the main thing is like, you do want to follow what you're interested in, but if what you're interested in currently, you're just not that good at, you want to make art or something like that, and you're just not, you're going to have to find something. You're going to need like a Trojan horse. You need some way to get your foot in the door with something else before you start to, express the main thing that you love to do. So it might not show up the way that you think it's going to show up, or the things that you end up doing. Like when you started bodybuilding, you had no idea you would end up like basically talking about lifting and working out all the time. Maybe you thought like, oh, maybe this YouTube thing's kind of cool. Maybe I can talk about that a bit. But I don't think you ever thought you're going to talk about it all day, every day to all these different people that we have on the show.
I've talked about this before, but before you invited me on the podcast, I did the Jordan Peterson self-authoring thing a few years before. And on that, I was like, podcasting was something I really wanted to do. I wanted to figure out a way that I could, because I knew that Number one, YouTube would take a while. And I knew like I was working with people, but I was like, but the only people I'm able to affect or give this information to is the people I'm working with. And then like the few people on social that I had on the time, I think I had like maybe 15 or I don't know. When we started, actually I had 40, but like it wasn't a crazy amount of people. So that's one thing. It's like figure out, literally really spend time to write out your personal goals. I've referenced the self-authoring thing because it's the most systematized way I know to outline what you want your life to look like that I personally know of. But figure that out and then just figure out a way to move in that direction, whatever way that might be. But then cool enough, you guys invited me to come on and podcast with y'all. So it aligned perfectly with the goals that I had. And I want to give a quick shout out to Paul Arciaga, who was my first bodybuilding coach and a trainer that I worked with over at the old gym, Forever Fit. And my second bodybuilding coach that took me through my 2015, Alberto Nunez.
Who's looking crazy right now.
Alberto's looking disgusting.
Yeah. Is he going to compete coming? I know he was about to compete. Did he compete yet?
I don't think he's competing.
Not yet.
I don't think he's competing.
Check the old gram.
It's getting close.
I learned a lot from Alberto.
Yeah, one thing I did forget was like right when I was like Alberto picking up a camera and stuff, I actually did record a podcast with a buddy of mine. But before the episode, because like back then you had to do like RSS feeds and all that shit. Yeah. So like it was kind of it was way more complicated than it is today. But I remember he was like, "Yeah, we got to get sponsors," and did it. I'm like, "Bro, we haven't uploaded one episode yet." Yeah. So, anyways, so I just forgot about that. But let's see here. Oh my gosh.
Bro, looks disgusting.
1 week and a day out on when was this posted?
Shreddy McShredderton.
I can't tell.
Any idea what his body weight is?
Dog, my guess is like maybe mid 160s. My like 165, 170.
That's a lot bigger than he used to be. That's for sure.
He probably mentions it somewhere. See any numbers?
All right, so
natural bodybuilding.
I love it because Alberto Nunez is that guy, man. He's that guy who's like people think he's on so much shit, but he's just been putting in those hours. Every fucking
I think
day.
the biggest difference is his back.
Oh, his back's been huge though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, his back is wild, but like Berto's had that shell. Like that was always his thing. When he goes like, you see that shit. When he goes like that.
He's got 4 slices of pizza on his back
He's
though.
always had that turtle shell.
Bam.
But I learned a lot from Alberto. He taught me a lot about like prepping people, and he gave me a lot of resources to learn how to help people diet and stuff.
A lot of shots of his pack.
Like this is just a direct shot.
He likes people to look at his penis inadvertently, but I mean, it is what it is, right?
I mean, if his quads are that veiny,
one of those veins definitely leads right to the tip of his cock.
Hey now,
I'm
look
not
at
curious
that.
about that at all, though.
Yeah, that looks gnarly.
Yeah,
especially because that like kind of
what the fuck
dug out area on the top of the bicep, shoulder, and then on the tricep.
Yeah.
That separation makes it look crazy.
Dog, there's such a difference between just like lean and stage lean. Like, yeah, y'all don't realize there is a big difference between just being lean. Like I'm lean. Stage lean is another dimension. That's just different. You know what that's like.
Yeah, it looks crazy.
Yeah.
And you can't really mimic. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that." Like that's what I respect about O'Hearn. O'Hearn kind of just does it. Because I don't think he's been on stage other than like guest posing like in a long time. Like he hasn't really competed, and he'll get fucking diced though. I mean, he was very lean when he was here, but I've seen him even slightly leaner than that. Just because.
Yeah. It's really cool how he's, you guys probably have heard the episode now, but the fasting he's implementing, I wanted to talk to him more about that. It's going to be cool to see how he implements the fasting gum too. I think that's going to help him, but he's been doing some weird ass fasting where he's doing like 4 days, right? Just water and maybe electrolytes and stuff.
So he might have some greens if he really feels like he's going to die or something like that.
Like Mike O'Hearn is that guy. Like he really just he's been at it for a minute, but that's all. And I think it's wild that now was the first time he ever put fasting in his tool belt. Like he hasn't used any of that shit before, and now he just started, and now it's just another tool for Mike O'Hearn to demolish the competition.
It makes sense that he brought that in because, like, I remember talking to him years ago, and I'd ask him like what he's been eating when he gets really shredded, and he's like, "Oh, I have like 3 or 4 chicken breasts a day and some like fucking broccoli or something.
Ice.
Chicken and broccoli.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's like chicken, broccoli, and rice. No, chicken, broccoli, and ice.
And ice.
And oxygen. That's it.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. We haven't done this in a while. And Nsima, can you do me a huge favy and read this review from iTunes?
Oh my God.
Okay. I started listening in on Mark Bell's Power Project after searching for Ben Patrick podcasts. I appreciated the attention and openness that these guys gave him. It was better than any other host, even Joe Rogan. We love you, Joe. I started listening in more just out of curiosity, even if it was an uninteresting topic. Now I'm hooked. They have amazing banter. Aww. They ask all the right questions. Aww. They actually converse versus just asking a list of questions. God damn. They have open minds and open booties and show each guest respect, even if you can tell they don't agree. Peaches. They're so funny. And some of y'all got that one. They're so funny. And bonus points for the endless pods on the topic of the big toe. I don't ever rate podcasts, and I don't lift heavy or eat meat. That's how good this stuff is. God damn.
Damn. Yeah, so that is from, let's see, it looks like it's Bears Eats Beets via Apple Podcast. So thank you so much for that review. That was fucking dope.
I feel like shedding a tear, guys. I'm so happy that we're here.
That was a good one.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
Get me on my
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. And again, shout out to, Bears Eats Beets for dropping that review. Sincerely appreciate that. If you guys
He doesn't eat meat.
Yeah, I guess not.
We have a vegetarian/vegan
Or maybe
fan.
they just don't like crush it as much as we do. Or,
I
it
feel
could
like
be.
eats the beets in the name.
Beets. I was thinking
Beets.
Beets by Dre. That's how dumb I am right now.
it's the beets.
So thank you for that review. And if you guys can, please drop us a review on iTunes or Spotify. You guys are dropping a shit ton of reviews on Spotify. We see them and we sincerely appreciate them. Please drop us some comments down below. Let us know what you guys think about today's episode. And hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are not subscribed already. Please follow the podcast at MB Power Project on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. My Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z and Nsima. Where you at?
Discord's popping.
Discord.
We're gonna hop in there soon. So yeah, click the link in the description for the Discord if you want some penis pumps. You can go check out the link in the description.
Oh yeah,
It's
right there. Bam.
Anyway,
There's a
just
little bit of glare on it, but they can see it.
all of our shit's in the description, guys. At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark.
I doubt that anybody lives in this area, but if you do, go to the Davis Arboretum and go give it a run and go see if you can get under 30 minutes. It ain't easy, but I think some of you freaks out there can probably do it pretty easily.
But tell them not to cheat the Arboretum because like there's
I was
a,
gonna say there's a couple of
yeah,
different
yeah.
routes.
you gotta
There
go.
are different routes.
Just keep going on the right side.
Yeah.
If you're
We're not gonna like,
check
we're
the
not gonna-
tape.
yeah. But if you get like 21 minutes, like we'll know you fucked up.
Like I'm just good, bro.
But I think there is a way to track it. Like I think because my buddy did it and he used like a Nike app and then it shows you like how far you ran and the time. And it's like, I mean, you'd have to really go out of your way to, I'm sure you can make up anything, but that would be kind of hard to fake.
You just hit a PR.
Yeah, I did. I did 28:41. So
Well, I did a mile in 8 minutes. That was a huge
yeah,
PR.
dude, you run fast.
Thanks, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
when
what
you-
Mark had told me. I was like, really?
Well, I had to kind of slow him down.
Yeah.
I mean, you were gonna conk out anyway.
Of course.
But I just like you just kind of naturally run fairly fast.
Also, I think you like over time, if you really like run, like I think you'll like it. But you have a good body weight and a good amount of muscle where like you can be good without even sacrificing a lot of muscle because your body weight's you're not crazy heavy. You're not light. You're like 180, 185.
Yeah.
But you're not crazy heavy. So
Makes sense. Thank
be
you.
swift.
I think you could get to like running really fucking fast. I think you could because your strength to weight ratio is good. So
I see. Yeah. That could be
me
fun.
and Nsima have big asses. It's like it makes it a little more
You guys are towing
makes it more challenging.
trucks
You're
back there.
one of the only few white men that might have a bigger ass than me. You remember your bodybuilding show, dog? Oh my God. I wish we could pull
There's
up
a lot
the
of
picture.
cake back
I
there.
got so many pictures of that ass.
Oh my God. Everyone was talking about it when you stepped on stage 2 in your blue trunks. Like your ass was fat. Like that's a huge butt, man.
I never felt so like such a piece of meat when I walked into like the girls thing because like I don't know, Hani told me I needed
Objectified?
like different oil or something. And
Oh, look at that. Just cake
he's like, oh,
factory.
you got to walk in there. And the girls go, oh my God. They're like, what did you do for your abs?
Dude, yeah. That's a lot
Like,
of glute.
wow.
That is a lot of glute. Do you have an even better picture of the glute?
I should have just walked backwards
Yeah, I have
on
these ones,
stage. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's some butt ones. There you go.
Dude, yeah, pull that up.
Look at that ass.
That's and you're covering it too. Like
Yeah.
so usually they don't cover
They
it.
hike up their trunks.
Yeah, but you dog wagon.
It's a good way to not have them judge the rest of your physique. They just look at your ass.
Especially in bodybuilding.
Oh,
Did we say all the stuff we're supposed to say? Is it my turn?
It's your turn.
Yeah.
I'm at Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later. Bye.